Welcome to Dr. U again, and my name's John Ballou, and this is Dr. Noah.
Hi there.
And today we're going to be talking about Prop 37. You've been seeing lots of things on television with doctors coming out and saying, you know, that this is going to cost a lot of money. One of the arguments against 37 is that the actual costs are going to go up for products, and and also all the costs for regulation is going to put more pressure on people.
Well, that's what's going to scare people, because the economy and things are tough. Food prices have gone up, which we won't even address right now for other type of reasons. Is just, once again, is not proven by any type of real facts. When you look at the rest of the other 50 countries around the world, that didn't show.
Not true.
That's not true.
Right.
That $400 was actually an economist that worked for Monsanto. No, they said, okay, pay Pete. We pay you $300,000 a year for doing squat nothing. As a nice corporate little drone there. We need you to come up and say that this is going to cost $400. And then, okay, go in the computer, change some numbers, $400, thank you. Here's your $300,000, good. It's time for me to go play golf.
It's hard for people to grasp this.
Right, but then when they go to an independent, what's called a third-party type of investigation from
independent,
not like that, there's no difference. And as I said, the proof of the pudding is, like in New Jersey, what has happened in other countries? The prices haven't gone up because of that.
There you go.
And as I mentioned to you earlier, once again, go in California. There's what's called the grocery outlet. It's where people buy food that's a little less expensive, like that. And these are the rejects because their labeling didn't go right. They changed the color. They experimented. This is all part of marketing. You do tracking. You take a label, and this is all has to do with brainwashing to buy certain type of things. It's advertisement. And there's, once again, there's a whole industry that's just designed around that. So, I mean, this is ridiculous.
Now they're using the word natural.
Well, and natural is worthless. I mean,
natural. Now, that's something people ought to understand. The word natural is worthless.
Just like organic, technically organic means it's a carbon-based compound. Well, then everything that's a life form is organic. So that you have to be real careful about how different type of people, once again, try to bamboozle you, or
Isn't it really? Then this whole idea is they don't want to be outed. They don't want to have to be really label anything that and put on there with their.
They're upset because
we're trying to out them.
Well, exactly. That's
what 37 is trying to do. This
has all been hidden until this came to be. Most people didn't even know about genetically modified food like that. At least now this is brought to the agenda here. Let's talk about that. So they're upset about that. The second thing is studies after studies, focus groups after focus groups saying, well, if you knew that this was genetically modified, would you buy it? 70% or more of the people wouldn't. That's the bottom line. This has nothing to do about science, and we can talk about this real science, about how it hurts people and Frankenstein type of food like that. It's all about they're not going to buy the money, and they're going to lose money. And all these executives that are
follow the dollar.
Well, that's right. All these CEOs that are getting hundreds of millions of dollars that are totally worthless won't be able to continue that BS story.
So kind of what we're also saying, we've been relying on the system in a way to take care of this, but we haven't realized that the system has gone south on us. And maybe the dollar's always been at the bottom line of everything, but now it's just crazy. And our health, we're paying the price with our own health.
Well, that's right. I mean, talk about costs. I mean, $400 a year. The study that just came out, a month or so ago, showing tumors and stuff. Well, the average cost of cancer is $200,000 to $300,000. Well, we'll talk a little bit later on about autism. The average cost of autism is $20,000 to $30,000 a year, and that's been once again connected to that and some other type of factors in terms like that. Where's that come into play? It doesn't, because they would never want to go there. A couple things that I talked about on my TV show about labeling. Having been in as a blue collar worker, I've worked in actually different type of plants and bottling companies. They change labeling all the time. When you go to grocery outlets, most of those products that you get there, because they're 99 cents like that, is because they mislabeled it or they changed the labeling. This happens all the time. This is crazy. I remember going down to see my grandparents down in Florida and having, orange juice come along. They stop the line, put another label on, and they just, keep going like this. This labeling thing is a smokescreen to think that this is going to cost you that $400. Now, that $400 was by an economist that works for Monsanto. Gee, I'm sure he or she doesn't have any concern about their well-being, but when there was a third party, which means an independent economists that said there's no change. And all we have to do is look at the other 50 countries in Europe where there's been no increase in cost. So this labeling cost, once again, is just, once again, BS.
One instance is dog food is going to fall under the regulation, and the meat within the dog food, but actual meat that you sell in the supermarkets is not going to be.
Well, one of the issues in terms of dog food versus regular type of meat, which is actually I take a little bit of exception, is that under the proposition, which is still, you should vote for yes on, because we need to have that information to be able to go with, is that, if a cow is fed genetically modified food, that's not included. I disagree with that. The science is very clear that that is incorporated into the meat, and that food would be, in fact, genetically modified. Dog food is, once again, is pretty much garbage. And what's wrong? Why would we want to, basically not protect our little puppies too, in terms of giving them all this bad food? So when you look at a dog can, it's usually meat products, soy products, and those are genetically modified. So that's why technically that's classified as, being labeled, and raw meat is not.
And then also they're also saying that this is going to, the costs are going to go up. This is going to hurt farmers. They're going to have to be involved with the regulation and the products.
We look at other type of countries that that we look to as peers in terms of being industrialized, educated. We look at India, the largest democracy in the world, like that, where we we have a kind of a common type of background in terms of politics and science and things like that. Well, it's interesting. Before Monsanto came in, it was about 5 rubles per acre for the farmers
rupees.
Rupees, which is like their dollar in India, to be able to produce enough type of products to, like in corn or something like that.
Which is nothing. I mean, 5 rupees.
Well, but that's still something. There's stuff that when Monsanto came in and then monopolized it, it went up to 3,600. So yeah, you're telling me it's not going to cost more? That's the whole concern about this. This goes beyond just health. This has to do about people monopolizing life forms, food, the basic essence of where you are. Then they can tell you, okay, well, you don't eat, maybe you over there can eat, because they have complete control over that product. And that's what Monsanto's actually business plan is, to have 100% monopoly over our food sources.
Right.
And if that doesn't scare you, I don't know what will.
And now in India, a lot of
and happy Halloween. By
happy Halloween. A lot of these farmers in India, I mean, they no longer.
Well, actually, they're disturbing. They're having almost 1 or 2 suicides because these people now cannot
feed their own
family, and just like in a lot of cultures, with the man can't provide, they're worthless and they kill themselves. So this goes beyond just in terms of basic, well, what science? This we're talking about life and death now.
Yeah. So, basic thing we're saying here is we do need to have regulations on.
All we're asking
labeling.
for
They need to tell us what they're doing.
Yeah.
We need to, and this may be the start. So say that this is an open door, but we need to go even further. We need to make sure that we know what we're eating.
What's the difference between saying that this has wheat in it? Now we know that people are gluten sensitive, salt sensitive, all like that. Okay. The science is very clear, is that genetically modified food is not a good thing. The bottom line is it's real simple here. They don't want the knowledge out there because they've done, once again, focus groups. They've done, once again, the research. They look over to Europe like that. If you label it, people aren't going to buy it. That's the bottom line. This other type of BS, once again, it's just BS. They know that Monsanto is going to lose. Kellogg's is going to lose. All these multinational corporations that make food, which is not really food, it's basically garbage, is going to lose their money. They're not going to be able to return on their investment. And that's all the bottom line. All this little hocus pocus stuff it has nothing to do with it. They know that people just say, I don't want genetically modified. And in fact, if you look at the advertising, which I don't watch TV, but I've heard, they never use genetically modified. They always use, once again, other words because they know that's a trigger. Genetic, well, that's what is this doing to my genes? Yeah, if you start looking at it, as we've discussed on my shows many times, epigenetics, we know that does definitely have an impact on our genes, and in a negative way, not a good way.
Yeah. So our bottom line is yes on
37.
Yes.
Of course. We talk about the Stanford doctor who really didn't work at Stanford, and it's interesting. He's once again a scientific whore. He was bought back in the early, 60s and stuff. He testified for the tobacco industry, swore up and down that,
really?
Smoking doesn't cause cancer. Yeah, no problem like that. He was a spokesperson for Agent Orange, as we know now, caused problems. This guy is worthless. And why even someone would pay a penny for him to be in any type of so-called think tank is, that's insanity by, in my definition like that. So by bringing different types of health professionals that usually don't even know the first thing about health, go out and all they do is once again, basically regurgitate.
But they get a big paycheck.
Well, they do. That's it. They regurgitate whatever they get paid to, whether or not they're a pediatrician or so-called think tank, is ridiculous. As I'd love to have him come on my TV show and let's talk about it and not hide behind his, I'm a professor, you're a student, unless you listen to me, I fail you. Yeah, let's talk about the real science. Someone that knows head to head, and we'll see, if he soils himself before he leaves my TV show. So there's my offer to him. Come on my TV show. The big professor that's basically a quack and once again a scientific whore, in my opinion. So let's talk about it.
Yeah.